Assignment number 4 is about aligning and distributing objects, and we're just going to make sure that we know where the buttons are that you need, and it's going to be kind of a quick exercise, so let's take a look. The handout is posted on Google Classroom. You're going to, and I'm going to show you how to do this, you're going to use the frame tool to draw a total of 6 different frames that you're going to work with. Some of them are going to be horizontal, some will be vertical. Excuse me. And then in each frame, there's a certain way we're going to do this, so you may want to pull up the handout and be looking at it so that you are getting these on target and on track. Has to do with what's drawn in there, perfect squares, how they're arranged, how they're distributed, how they're aligned, and all of the instructions are here. I'm going to demonstrate it in this movie, and there's frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, roll it on down, frame 5, frame 6. Color is up to you on this assignment. It doesn't matter much to me what color you make things, but attention to directions is also important. You got to do it the way it's described. I'm looking for some certain things here, so let's tune in on that. Here's an example of one that is done right now. You see the 3 horizontal frames over kind of on the left-hand side, and then you see the 3 more vertical frames over here on the right-hand side. And it all has to do with how things are aligned and what's on there and that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to go back here and get back to files. So it kind of shows like this is what it will kind of look like when you're logged into Figma and you're ready to go. So you're going to start this by going to the plus sign in the top right-hand side, create a new file. You will want to, and that sometimes doesn't show up right away, you're going to want to rename it, but I'm going to go ahead and get my frame tool. And I'm just going to draw horizontal frame over here, and then I could use the arrow tool to just alt drag that because I need 3 horizontal frames, so I'm going to do that. And then I also am going to need 3 vertical frames, so I'll go back to the frame tool once again, and I'm going to make a frame that kind of is arranged like that. And then I'm going to use the arrow tool and alt drag that frame, and we get an arrangement kind of like that. That's what I'm going to work with right here. So we got 3 horizontal, 3 kind of wide, and 3 tall, and that's what I want. Okay, well, let's go to work. On the first frame, get the rectangle tool, draw a perfect square. Hold the shift key, draw a perfect square. Use the arrow tool to alt drag that and get 5 of them. Right, it doesn't really matter where you put them for right now, and I'll say that Smart Guides does a pretty decent job of lining things up, but we're going to make sure that things are lined up. So what you do on this one, I've got 5 perfect squares on frame 1. Use the arrow tool, get them all selected, marquee so that they are all selected. Let's see, can I bring this over closer? Yes. Marquee so they're all selected. Come over to the top right hand side and you'll see alignment buttons here, and what I want you to do on this one is we're going to align their centers, their vertical centers. So I'm pointing to the button right now, align vertical centers. I'm going to click that. Now I'm going to go here, drop this little thing down, and I want to distribute horizontal spacing. I want there to be an exactly even amount of spacing in between each of those boxes. So I'm going to make sure I do that right there, distribute horizontal. There wasn't very much of a change, but there was a change. Don't know if you could see it. And now these boxes are nice and lined up. They have the exact same amount of space in between them. And when you get into experienced design layout, keeping things tidy and keeping things lined up is pretty important. Now you can certainly come along here and you know, with them all selected, I had them all selected so I can assign a fill color. I could come along here and give it a bit of a stroke if I want to. Really, like I said, color is up to you. It doesn't matter a whole lot. Let's move on to frame number 2. I'm going to go back and get the rectangle tool. By the way, keyboard shortcuts could speed you up here. The letter R is the keyboard shortcut for the rectangle. These are going to be just variable. I'm going to tap the letter R and I'm just going to draw a kind of a variety. Some are going to be wide and some are going to be tall, and there's going to be 5 of them, and it's going to be kind of like that, right? So what we're going to do on this one is that they are not perfect squares, right? They're all kind of different sizes, and that's what I want. 5 boxes that are just random, just kind of different sizes. Take the arrow tool. By the way, keyboard shortcut for the arrow tool is V as in victory. I'm going to select all of those, and up here on the alignment, what we're going to do this time is align their top edges. So if you're not sure which button is which over here, float your mouse, and it will show you. There's little pop-ups that appear on Figma to tell you, okay, here's align top, here's align right, horizontal centers. I want to align top edges on this, so I'm going to align top. And you'll notice that all except for one that I apparently did not get selected here. Let's try that again. Align top edges. There we go. We got him to fly up there. I just didn't get it selected. And then I'm going to also go here to, I want to distribute horizontal spacing again. I want you to do that every time. I want to get in here and say, okay, so let's make sure we have the same amount of spacing in between each one. So there's a little adjustment there. It slides a little bit. And just because I like to, I'm going to go ahead and fill all those, and I'm going to add a stroke to all those, and you can kind of do what you want with that. All right, so 5 boxes. They're aligned on the top edge, and they are spaced out evenly. All right, let's move on. I'm going to go back to the rectangle tool once again. I'll tap the letter R, and once again what we want here is 5 rectangles that are just kind of random. You've got wide ones, tall ones, whatever. Right, doesn't really matter. Just draw them real quick. Tap the letter R, draw a rectangle, and just keep doing it. Tap the letter R, draw. Tap the letter R, draw. You got it. All right, take the arrow tool, select all of them. See if I get them all this time. This time we're just going to line bottom edges, right? So I'm going to go to my align buttons up here. And again, if you're not sure, there's a little diagram that tells you really, but if you're not sure, float your mouse, and here's align bottom, and boom. So they all drop, so the bottom edges are nice and even. And then drop this little menu down, and we want to distribute horizontal spacing here so we get the same amount of space in between each one. They are evenly spaced out. And again, that can make a huge difference in the way your design looks if you get things spaced out the way you want. All right, so I've decided to fill and stroke, and so I'm good there. All right, so we're moving on to the vertical ones now. I'm over to frame number 4, and this time it's going to be the oval tool. So I'm going to tap the letter O for oval. I'm going to hold the shift key. This needs to be 5, and I could, I could just do an alt drag here. I'll just use my arrow and just alt drag these real quick, and just going to do kind of like that. I want 5 of them. They are perfect circles. Hold the shift key, draw a perfect circle. You need 5 of them. All right, now let's use the arrow tool, get them all selected. Let's marquee so that they're all selected. And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to align their horizontal centers here. So you're looking up at the top right-hand side at your alignment buttons, and we're going to align horizontal centers so they're nice and lined up. They're straight up and down. And then we're going to go over to this little menu on the side and distribute vertical spacing, right? I want the same amount of empty space in between each one. So I'm going to distribute vertical spacing, and look how nice and neat and even that looks. And so I'm going to pop on here and color those a little bit and add, and if you feel like it, if you want to get in here and add a drop shadow or something to it, go ahead. That's kind of up to you, right? Let's see. I'm going to bring up the opacity of that drop shadow a little bit. That's not scrubby slide. Is that not scrubby slide? Yeah, it's scrubby slide. All right, there we go. All right. Anywho, there we go. Throwing a little X value there. All right. So, and you don't have to add shadows and stuff like that. That's the effects right there. Drop shadow, not hard, but it's up to you. All right, so on this one, this time we're going to go back to the oval tool, and it's going to be a kind of a random collection. Some tall, some skinny, some wide, whatever, just random. And I'm just tapping the letter O, and I'm just drawing them. So they're not perfect circles. They're all just kind of mixed up, right? It's just kind of a random collection. All right, take the arrow tool, select them all. Here's what we're going to do with these. Once again, we're going to align horizontal centers. I want you to see what that looks like when they're not perfect circles. All right, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm also going to distribute that vertical spacing. Same amount of space in between each one. Evenly distributes the empty space so that we wind up with something looking like this. Again, fill as desired. I am not going to be choosy about that, but I kind of like to fill mine. All right, so the final one here, what we're going to do a similar kind of thing. I'm going to get the oval tool. I'll tap the letter O, and I'm just going to draw in, once again, I'm just drawing in some kind of random. And each time, when you get done drawing an oval, it goes back to the arrow tool automatically. So tap O, draw your oval, tap O, draw your oval, tap O, draw your oval. So it's just a random collection of ovals. All right, cool. Take the arrow. Select them all. This time we're going to align left edges. Left edges. All right, so we're looking up here at our align tools, and here is left edge, align left. So I'm going to do that. All of the left edges are nice and lined up now. I'll come over here to the side menu and say let's distribute that vertical spacing, get them evenly spaced out. I've still got them selected, so I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to keep them kind of gray, but I am going to go ahead and add a stroke around those just because I like to add a stroke around them. All right, so this is now a finished product. I have 3 horizontals that have center, top, and bottom alignment here. These perfect circles over here have center alignment and they are spaced out evenly. These ovals have center alignment. They're aligned in the middle and they are spaced out evenly. And these ovals have left alignment. Their left edges are aligned and they are spaced out evenly. It's time to come up here and change the name of this. I'm just going to call this Align Movie Demo. Please change the name of your projects. Do not leave them untitled. It's a bad habit. Once you've done that, you come over here to the share button. You make sure it says anyone with the link. You click copy link and you go turn that in on Google Classroom. And that, folks, is Experience Design Figma number 4. 1, 2, 3, go.